Okay, the situation has taken a drastic turn, and everyone is in complete panic mode following Karoline Leavitt, the bold, frank, and conservative. After yet another outrageous tirade from The View, Powerhouse significantly upended the situation by dropping a surprise that shocked Whoopi, Goldberg, Joy, Behar, and cheery Hostin to their core without even entering their stage. Karoline didn't hold back. She responded with such force that the hosts were at a loss for words. It's not often that someone disrupts the show without actually being present, but she did exactly that with her remarks, revealing the prejudice and hypocrisy that critics have been pointing out for years. Now, everyone is watching The View as they try to get over this unexpected reality check.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Instead of ignoring the onslaught, Karoline fiercely defended herself, called out the show for its hypocrisy, deconstructed their stale arguments, and boldly revealed its double standards. What exactly did Karoline say that had Whoopi Goldberg completely losing it? What made Joy Behar visibly shaken? How did she manage to leave Sunny Horton, who always has something to say, completely speechless? Her response was so powerful that it sent shockwaves through the network. In fact, there are rumors that ABC executives are having serious discussions about whether to keep the show on the air because it's gotten that bad. If you thought the drama was over, think again. Commence a significant change in daytime television, but before we get into the specifics, be sure to keep informed by clicking the like button and subscribing. Did you just do that? If so, great. Now let's break it down.
View hosts have got themselves into hot water again after they did the very thing they purport to be against, undermining women's success. Joy Behar stunned viewers when she said Donald Trump's press secretary, 27-year-old Karoline Leavitt, only secured her position because of her good looks.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
The comment was bizarre, especially coming from Joy Behar, who is as woke as they come and positions herself as a champion of feminism. This online commentator said, disgusting Joy Behar of The View accuses Karoline Leavitt of being hired only because Donald Trump thought she was...
Let us dissect it once more. The Viewpoint attacked Karoline Leavitt, reasoning that she is a young conservative who defies their narrative. This time, they used their standard strategies to make fun of her, cast doubt on her credentials, and even imply that Donald Trump only backs her because of her looks. In contrast, Whoopi Goldberg, who never lets facts get in the way of a dramatic speech, claimed that without wokeness, Karoline wouldn't even have a platform to speak on. This is the same old routine from The View, but this time, Karoline wasn't going to let it go. Joy Behar's characteristic smug attitude suggested that Karoline didn't earn her success, hinting that Trump supports her simply because he finds her attractive.
His opponents are saying to this very day the same rhetoric that led to those two attempts. The second attempted on President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie, and yes, you will take political, like we have seen in two instances against President Trump. Last week, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris said that everyone who showed up to President Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a... That's despicable, dangerous, divisive rhetoric that is spewed by the Democrat Party every single day. And I am so sick and tired of the media pointing the finger at Donald Trump and saying that he is sowing division in this country. He is not. The media is for pushing hoaxes like the one that you all pushed today, and the Democrat Party is for pushing lies about him. But the good news is Americans don't buy it. And that's why today President Trump is more popular than he has been since 2016, because people don't trust the media.
Karoline didn't just respond. She completely dismantled the entire narrative of the show in a viral video that quickly spread like wildfire across social media. Unlike others who might tiptoe around controversial topics or soften their words to avoid backlash, Karoline chose to stand firm and expose the true nature of the show. She didn't mince her words as she laid bare the hypocrisy of the panel, a group of elites who claim to be supporters of women but show their true colors when a woman refuses to adhere to their prescribed, one-dimensional narrative. Karoline's target was Joy Behar, who she called out as the epitome of modern-day so-called feminism. Karoline pointed out the glaring double standard that exists on the show. If you're a liberal woman, you're celebrated. But if you're a conservative woman, suddenly, everything changes. Instead of being uplifted or heard, conservative women are often mocked, their appearances ridiculed, their success undermined, and their achievements outright discredited. Karoline highlighted how this is not about empowering women, but rather about supporting a specific political ideology, which led to the pointed question. So much for the idea of women supporting women. The hypocrisy was palpable. As if that wasn't enough, Whoopi Goldberg then stepped into the fray, accusing Karoline of only having a platform because of wokeness. Whoopi, in her typical style, attempted to undermine Karoline's hard-earned success by suggesting that her visibility was the result of a societal obsession with wokeness rather than genuine merit. But Karoline wasn't having it. With a look of unshaken confidence, she fired back at Whoopi's accusation, cutting through the false narrative. "Please," Karoline responded, "I got here by working hard, unlike the unqualified hires The View props up in the name of diversity." The sharpness of Karoline's response left Whoopi with little room to argue. It was a stinging rebuke, underscoring how, while the show might celebrate diversity in its hiring practices, it often overlooks true qualifications in favor of ticking boxes. But even that wasn't the final blow. As the conversation continued, Sunny Hostin, a member of the panel known for her strong opinions, decided to lecture Karoline about privilege. It seemed as though the entire panel was taking turns attempting to dismiss Karoline's perspective by attacking her personally, but Karoline wasn't about to let them get away with it. With one swift, dismissive remark, Karoline cut right through the nonsense, saying, "Give me a break." She wasn't going to entertain their attempts to silence her or deflect from the core issue. What was unfolding before the audience was nothing short of a masterclass in how to stand your ground against a group of people who believed they could easily dismiss you. Instead of backing down or being intimidated, Karoline confronted the hypocrisy and double standards head-on, refusing to let them control the narrative. This wasn't just a defense of her own position. It was an expose of the systemic biases and unfair treatment that conservative women face, especially in mainstream media spaces where it's often seen as taboo to support certain political beliefs. Karoline's response became a rallying cry for those who felt marginalized or silenced for their political views, and her defiance against the panel's elitist attitudes gave voice to the many women who faced similar dismissal. In the end, Karoline didn't just shut down the arguments of the panel members, she illuminated the broader issue at hand, the way certain women, particularly those with conservative values, are pushed to the margins and mocked for their views, no matter how successful or qualified they may be. This viral moment, sparked by Karoline's no-holds-barred response, didn't just shake up the dynamics of the conversation, it sparked an important conversation about the true nature of feminism, diversity, and the need for a more inclusive environment where women of all political persuasions can be respected, celebrated, and heard.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in.
The moment that really took everyone by surprise was when Karoline declared, "The View doesn't want strong women. They want women who follow their script, and I refuse to play their game." That single line left jaws on the floor, and as soon as she posted the video, Twitter exploded. Hashtags like #CancelTheView and #Karoline exposes the View started trending within minutes, and the backlash against the show was overwhelming. For the first time in a long time, The View wasn't controlling the narrative. Instead, they found themselves on the defensive. The tides had turned. What made matters even worse for the show was that they never saw it coming. They thought they could mock Karoline, dismiss her, and move on, just like they always did with other critics. Instead, they made their biggest mistake yet. Rather than damaging Karoline's credibility, the controversy ended up skyrocketing her profile. Karoline was already making waves in conservative politics, but now she had become a household name, known by people across the political spectrum. And guess who was panicking? ABC executives. According to insider sources, the network wasn't pleased with how badly the entire situation was reflecting on them. Rumors were swirling about major shakeups behind the scenes, and names like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg were reportedly coming up in some very uncomfortable conversations. Translation: they might finally be on their way out. Even The View's own audience wasn't blindly defending them this time. Some of their most loyal fans were taking to social media to call out the show, saying that they had crossed the line. One viral tweet summed up the growing discontent perfectly. The View claims to empower women, but they only want women who think like they do. The hypocrisy and double standards were no longer something the audience was willing to ignore. The backlash not only exposed the flaws in the show's so-called feminist agenda, but also highlighted the toxic environment where conservative voices were belittled and dismissed. Karoline's bold stance had a ripple effect that no one, especially The View, had anticipated. Far from being silenced, she had amplified her voice and made it clear that she wasn't going to be part of a system that sought to control her narrative. In doing so, she turned the tables on The View, leaving them scrambling to regain control over a situation that had spun completely out of their hands. Now, the very show that prided itself on having the power to dictate the discourse was forced to deal with a growing public relations nightmare, with their once loyal viewers beginning to question whether the show had lost its way. The momentum Karoline gained in the wake of this viral moment made it clear that The View's dominant position in the media landscape was starting to waver, and with that, the future of the show and its hosts was looking uncertain. The View has long prided itself on championing women, but Karoline's explosive video exposed a harsh reality. The show doesn't truly support women. It attacks any woman who doesn't fit their agenda. In a viral moment that sent shockwaves through social media, Karoline revealed the hypocrisy of the show and its panel, calling them out for only championing women who align with their political views. The fallout from this confrontation doesn't stop there. Sponsors are reportedly getting nervous, with some major brands reconsidering their ad placements, and who can blame them? After all, who wants to be associated with a public relations disaster like this? The writing is clearly on the wall. For years, The View has thrived on controversy, capitalizing on drama to boost ratings. But this time, the backlash has been massive, and the hypocrisy of the panel has become undeniable. Karoline's powerful response has turned the tables on the show, casting it in a negative light, and now ABC faces a tough decision. Do they clean house, firing some of the most high-profile hosts, or do they cancel the show entirely? It's a question that's gaining more attention by the day, especially as the controversy continues to grow. While drama might drive ratings in the short term, there's a point when the controversy becomes so big that it overshadows everything else, and the show risks losing its credibility altogether. Right now, The View is walking on dangerously thin ice. The question remains, could this finally be the scandal that brings the show down for good? For the first time in years, The View might not be able to control the narrative, and its future is uncertain. Karoline's bold stand has resonated with many, and some are wondering if her response was the wake-up call the media needed. Could this be the moment when The View's toxic atmosphere and elitist approach to women finally catch up with them? And what about ABC? Will they make the hard decision to pull the plug on the show after this massive disaster, or will they try to weather the storm? It's a turning point, and the tension is palpable. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Did The View go too far this time? Was Karoline's response the wake-up call the media desperately needed? And do you think ABC will finally pull the plug on the show, or will they try to salvage what's left? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an update on this unfolding story. Thank you for watching Starbuzz.